Now will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd now like to introduce 9th grader Cheyenne Menard for the Pledge of Allegiance in Spanish.
Yo prometo lealtad a la bandera de los Estados Unidos de América y a la república que representa una nación bajo Dios entera con libertad y justicia para todos.
Hello and welcome faculty, staff, student body, Palmer School Committee, and esteemed guests. My name is Evan Hershowitz, and I am the senior class president of the class of 2023. And I am joined by Ethan Boschman, senior class vice president of the class of 2023, to MC today's celebration. We are honored to be speaking to you today on such an important occasion. We're here today to honor our service members and to remember the sacrifices they have made and the courage it takes to defend, honor, and protect our country. The writer Michael de Montaigne once said, "Valor is stability, not of legs and arms, but of courage and of the soul." We're here today to honor our heroes, to remember their achievements, their courage and their dedication, and to say thank you for their sacrifices. Thinking of the heroes who join us in this group today, and those who are here only in spirit, a person cannot help but feel awed by the enormity of what we encounter. We stand in the midst of patriots and the families and friends of those who have nobly served. I'd like to ask the service members and veterans to please stand. Thank you for answering the call of duty. You have made our armed forces the most respected in all of the world. Please be seated. Now, I would like to ask the family members of any service member to please stand. We know you have lived through difficult times, and often took heavy loads to keep the fire burning at home. We thank you for all that you have done. Please be seated.
I'd now like to introduce 8th grader Owen Pear for the reading of the History of Veterans Day.
When you think of November, the first holiday that probably comes to mind is Thanksgiving. And while Thanksgiving is an important holiday and a great time to give thanks, there's another holiday that falls in November, and it's a holiday that should also make us give thanks. It's Veterans Day. Veterans Day is a federal holiday that is observed on November 11th. It's a day to honor those who served in the military, known as veterans. The holiday began in 1919 when United States President Woodrow Wilson decided we should have a day to reflect on all the people who courageously fought for our country. It's a time to be thankful for those veterans who died so we could be free. In 1938, the United States Congress passed an act to make November 11 a legal holiday. They declared that the day be celebrated in dedication to world peace. Even though veterans fought in wars, we must remember that they fought for peace. The holiday was then referred to as Armistice Day, in honor of those veterans who lost their lives in World War I. In 1949, a man named Raymond Weeks started a campaign to change Armistice Day to Veterans Day because he felt all veterans should be honored, not just those who died at war. This campaign led to President Dwight Eisenhower signing a law in 1954 to change Armistice Day to Veterans Day. In other parts of the world, November 11th is still celebrated as Armistice Day, or Remembrance Day, because it marks the anniversary of the signing of the armistice that ended World War I. But whether you call it Veterans Day, Remembrance Day, or Armistice Day, November 11th is a time to honor all those who served in the military.
I would now like to introduce 6th grader Mason Cullum to present What Veterans Day for Our Country.
What veterans do for our country. The greatest sacrifices veterans have made for their nation do not simply occur in the war zone. They happen quietly, without fanfare, without acknowledgement. They occur in little homes and living rooms with just those left behind as witnesses. Everything a veteran must do is a sacrifice, from deserting their lives and to venturing onto the combat zone. The sacrifice of time is similarly as essential as the hardihood shown in war, and often at times significantly more troublesome. These penances are what make veterans special among others. Our country's veterans vow their lives to our defense so that, in their non-attendance, we can keep on living in freedom and make the most out of our chance in life. Veterans are separate from our regular struggles. They represent our nation as a whole, people of every religion, culture, and belief, coming together and standing strong. They do not vow themselves to us just because it is their obligation. They have a profound situated belief that this nation is worth fighting for, and they volunteer to be the ones to step forward in its defense and protect it. The patriotism in their souls is the thing that enables regular day-to-day life to proceed unhampered. It is the manner by which they progress and do what they should for the benefit of the nation as a whole, not exactly what they would need themselves. The veterans in our country show the most valued trait in civic virtue: selflessness, the determination to stand themselves up for the country's protection. Veterans give their whole lives to the improvement of society, with the expectation that we will do the same.
I would now like to introduce 7th grader Brooklyn Pelican for the reading of In Flanders Fields.
In Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks still bravely singing. Flies scare heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow. Loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep through poppies grow in Flanders fields.
I would now like to introduce 8th graders Felicia Lee Pagan and Eldie Arroyo for the Fallen Soldier Table presentation.
Okay. Those who have served and those currently serving in the uniformed services of the United States are ever mindful that the sweetness of enduring peace has always been tainted by the bitterness of personal sacrifice. They are compelled to never forget that while we enjoy our daily pleasures, others have endured or may be still enduring the agonies of pain and interment. We call attention to this small table which occupies a place of dignity and honor. The tablecloth is white, the purity of their intentions in response to their country calls to arms. The single rose in a vase signifies the blood they may have shed for our freedom. The slice of lemon signifies their bitter faith. The salt reminds us of the many countless tears of families as they wait. The glass inverted, they cannot drink with us tonight. The chair is empty, they are not here. Let us not forget the sacrifices of those and their families.
I would now like to introduce 12th grader Jacob Landry for the playing of Amazing Grace. Please hold applause while he switches instruments.
I would now like to introduce 6th grader Adeline Griswold for Veterans Day.
On Veterans Day, we honor all who answered to a service call. Soldiers young and soldiers old fought for freedom, brave and bold. Some have lived while others died, and all of them deserve our pride. We're proud of all the soldiers who kept thinking of red, white, and blue. They fought for us and all our rights. They fought through many days and nights. And though we may not know each name, we thank all veterans just the same.
We are fortunate to have a special video message from Lieutenant Colonel Neil Burns, who is a 1998 graduate of Palmer High School. Colonel Burns is serving overseas in Djibouti, Africa, as the 75th Expeditionary Squadron Commander.
Neil Byrne, Palmer High School class of 1998. I come to you on this Veterans Day in a country called Djibouti in the Horn of Africa as the 75th Expeditionary Airlift Squadron Commander. In 1998, when I left Palmer High School, I never would have imagined the things I would get to do in my life as a result of joining the United States Air Force. So, what I want to leave you with today on this Veterans Day is the thought of gratitude for all of those in our community, in our state, in our nation that have served the United States military in places far and wide during countless conflicts over the last decades that you're all well aware of to preserve our way of life in the United States of America. What I also want you to know is if adventure's in your heart, it's available to you as well. It's available to you now in service to your community and in service to your classmates and your family. And it's available to you long after you leave the doors of Palmer High School. So when you think about service, think about gratitude, tell people thank you. Tell those veterans in our community how much you appreciate what they did. Even if you don't totally understand what it is they did, ask them. They will tell you their stories. And I'm sure you will be inspired, much like I was, by those stories to go on your own adventure. So, Palmer High School, happy Veterans Day. Look forward to seeing you sometime soon.
I would now like to introduce sixth graders Lanaya Enriquez and Carly Gaudreau on the reading of Purple Heart.
Each Purple Heart shall always be a part of freedom's history, hold deep inside a fervent pride for all who gave, the brave who died. They showed their best for liberty, they stood for us with certainty.
Some bore a wound which took their life, while others lived past war's hard night. True patriots, they faced their call to keep the nation strong for all. Deep scars of war are carried by those who return and those who cry. Pray for the brave, their loved ones too. Thank God for heroes, all of you.
I would now like to introduce 8th graders Aiden Zenda and Maya Snyder for the story behind the Star-Spangled Banner.
One rainy September 13th, 1814, British warships sent a downpour of shells and rockets onto Fort McHenry in Baltimore Harbor, relentlessly pounding the American fort for 25 hours. The bombardment, known as the Battle of Baltimore, came only weeks after the British had attacked Washington, D.C., burning the Capitol, the Treasury, and the President's house. It was another chapter in the ongoing War of 1812. A week earlier, Francis Scott Key, a 35-year-old American lawyer, had boarded the flagship of the British fleet on Chesapeake Bay in hopes of persuading the British to release a friend who had recently been arrested. Key's tactics were successful, but because he and his companions had gained knowledge of the impending attack on Baltimore, the British did not let them go. They allowed the Americans to return to their own vessel, but continued guarding them. Under the scrutiny, Key watched on September 13th as the barrage of Fort McHenry began 8 miles away.
When darkness arrived, Key saw only red erupting in the night sky. Given the scale of the attack, he was certain the British would win. The hours passed slowly, but in the clearing smoke of the dawn's early light on September 14th, he saw the American flag, not the British Union Jack, flying over the fort, announcing an American victory. Key put his thoughts on paper while still on board the ship, singing his words to the tune of a popular English song. Key's poem, now called The Star-Spangled Banner, appeared in print across the country, immortalizing his words and forever naming the flag it celebrated.
I would now like to introduce Mr. Beaudry and the PHS band for the playing of the Star-Spangled Banner.
I would now like to introduce a guest speaker, Representative Todd Smola.
Good morning, and thank you very much for the opportunity to be here with you this morning. I am honored to be here. I'm a graduate of Palmer High School, the class of 1995, so it was a few years ago, but it's always great to return to the place that I call my home. I'm also honored to officially recognize that his first event here in Palmer, our new Senator-elect, Jake Oliveira. Jake, could you stand up and be recognized by the group? Thank you very much for being here. And thank you for the recognition that you're giving our veterans today. Let us keep in mind that these veterans have viewed this world through a very different set of eyes than the rest of us. Think about what we have asked our veterans to do throughout the history of this country. We have asked them to give up everything that they have and everything that they know for all of us. Put yourself in those shoes for a moment. Imagine what you would say to your mother or your father, your family members, your friends, the ones that you love, when you're walking out the door and you never know if you would come back. Imagine being asked to serve in a place that you've never heard of before, that you've never seen, knowing that you are doing a job that you may not come back from. And in all of that, you are responsible for carrying every member of your country on your back, and all the rights and the values and the privileges that come with that. And we ask you to do a big job. We ask you to storm the beaches at Normandy during World War II, fight in the jungles of Vietnam, go out and brave unbearable heat in the deserts of Iraq. And then we ask you to come home. We ask you to bring all of that with you. And much like the day that you left to say goodbye to your family, when you return from service, you say goodbye to family members and friends as well. Those are the men and women that never come home because they gave their life in service for this country. Think about that for a moment. Asking somebody to come back after seeing all of that and then expected to live a normal life back here at home, to pick up all the pieces, to do the things that you were doing before you marched off for service of your country. We must be mindful as individuals that our success, our prosperity, the very nature of how we live our lives is linked to this sacrifice made by American veterans. And it is our obligation to make sure that we take care of them when they come home to live in our communities. They have made the ultimate sacrifice for every right and freedom that we have. You should be proud that you live in the state of Massachusetts. Massachusetts was the first state to pass the Welcome Home Bill, the most generous package of benefits and privileges that veterans get when they come back to our Commonwealth. And that wasn't passed by politicians. It was done by veteran men and women who, long after they hung up their uniform, came back to advocate for their brothers and sisters, to make sure that they were taken care of. We must be mindful of this every day of our lives, and to recognize that our success hinges upon that very sacrifice that they make for every single one of us each and every day of our lives. They're sitting right here before you today, and they look out at you and they see the product of that sacrifice. That product is your ability to come here to school and to get educated, to speak freely on the issues that you want to share with friends, classmates, to be able to worship any religion you choose without persecution, if you so choose to do so, to participate in free and fair elections, and to even assemble in this gymnasium here today. All of those things I just mentioned are things that in other countries around this world, they are not allowed to do in some places, believe it or not. Hard to imagine. We must recognize the fragility of these rights that we have. And if we don't use them accordingly, we are in serious trouble. So that means that you are empowered by these veteran men and women to use your voice to be a good citizen of this country. But that means you must do it carefully. Don't use it as a sword to cut down, but use it as a shield to prop up what we stand for in this country. Use your voice, but use it wisely. Think about what you say before you say it. Be mindful of differing opinions and recognize that the person sitting next to you has every right to share their opinion, even if it's different from yours. We are here today for a reason, and that is to pay tribute to these men and women and to recognize the importance of what this country stands for and what we are all about. So on behalf of a grateful Commonwealth, a grateful community, and the greatest country on earth, let's give them a round of applause for all they do for us. Thank you.
I'd now like to introduce 10th grader Cassandra Perry and the Quilt Carriers for the history of the Korean War quilt.
A group of Palmer High School students designed this intricate and symbolic flag in honor of the Palmer veterans who served and were killed in action during the Korean War, which occurred between North and South Korea from 1950 to 1953. It has been gifted to Palmer High School and will proudly be displayed in honor of those who lost their lives.
I would now like to introduce Griffin Naroki to present What Does Veterans Day Mean to You?
Hello. Thank you to all the veterans that are here with us today. The Student Council put together a video to commemorate those who have served our country. As you will see, veterans have touched the lives of countless members of our school community. Thank you, veterans.
Thank you, veterans.
Thank you, veterans.
Thank you, veterans. I'm not doing it. Thank you, veterans. Thank you, veterans.
Thank you to my grandfather and my grandfather.
Thank you, veterans.
Thank you, veterans.
Thank you, veterans.
Thank you, veterans.
Thank you, veterans. Thank you, veterans.
Thank you, veterans.
I would now like to introduce the National Honor Society members Nathan Bigda, Gwen Duggan, Ashley Bransky, Colton Santorelli, Sean Trochet, Elizabeth Miller, and Hannah Hogg for the Veteran Code of Conduct.
The Veteran Code of Conduct was created to be a North Star to guide veterans and assist them in continuing to serve with honor. Those who pledge to live by the code will be keeping the faith with their oath, their country, and their fellow veterans.
I am an American veteran standing with my fellow citizens to serve my country and our way of life. I remember and continue to honor my oath to the Constitution.
I will always place my loyalty to the United States above political party, community over self, and act in the best interests of all my fellow citizens.
As I once defended all Americans, I will continue to stand up for the equality and dignity of all.
I hold myself and all servants of the public trust, including elected leaders, government servants, and law enforcement, to the highest moral, ethical, and professional standards.
I will not take up arms against the lawful government or my fellow citizens and will support the peaceful transition of power. I'll use my voice, my vote, and the respect I have earned from my fellow citizens to build a more perfect union.
I will never forget that I am an American veteran, continuing to stand for the Constitution and all the rights that it enshrines, responsible for my actions, and dedicated to the principles which made my country free.
I'd now like to introduce guest speaker and State Senate Select, Jake Oliveira.
Thank you so much, and thank you to the students, the faculty, the administration here at Palmer High School for holding this ceremony and recognizing those who have given so much to our nation, our veterans and their families. Thank you as well to my colleague, my friend, and now future partner for Warren and Palmer, State Representative Todd Samola, for his strong introduction and words of support here today for the veterans community and all that we are doing here in Massachusetts to support our veterans. I'm no stranger to Palmer High School. Actually, I should say my family is no stranger. My dad actually taught here in the late 90s, so I haven't actually been in this building in about 20 years, but it's exciting to be back here. It's exciting to join you, but it's most exciting to recognize our veterans. You know, today is also another special day for one of the branches of our armed services, the United States Marine Corps, because it is the 245th birthday of the United States Marine Corps. My grandfather served as a Marine during World War II in a Grumman Avenger plane, and he came back from the war, and I recently just found his actual flight book to describe some of the experiences that he faced towards the end of the war. It was a very moving experience to see his words, to see what he saw by his writings and his paper. But it's also important today that we recognize all of our veterans and what they contribute when they come back to the United States. We have several men and women that are here today that have served honorably in our armed forces, and I just wanted to the bottom of my heart, thank you for your service, and please know that the Massachusetts House and the Massachusetts Senate will always do everything that we can to support our veterans and their families when they come back home. Thank you to our veterans. One small tribute to the veterans community, those that earned the most prestigious honor, the Medal of Honor is actually something that we're going to be recognizing in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Route 20, which passes right here through Palmer, is the longest continuous highway in the United States, starting from Kenmore Square in Boston and ending in Oregon. That highway is being renamed right now the Medal of Honor Highway after those who received our nation's highest military honor. That bill passed the House, passed the Senate, and is being sent back to the House, and hopefully before tomorrow or before the end of this year, that bill will be signed into law by Governor Baker, adding Massachusetts as the 11th state to recognize those who received our nation's highest honor. And it's a tribute to the town of Palmer because that highway passes right through this community. It's an honor to be the co-sponsor, the lead sponsor on the House side, along with my colleague, Senator Vilas from Westfield, and we will get this bill over the finish line to ensure that we properly recognize all of those who have given so much to the United States of America and the freedoms that we all enjoy. Thank you so much for the opportunity to say a few words. And please, over this weekend, it is not just a 3-day weekend, it's an opportunity to recognize all those who've given so much to our nation. Thanks again.
I would now like to introduce Andrew Haley, Alex Jaworski, and Christian Ordonez for the presentation of Each Night at 9, written by Floyd Fommel.
Now, before we play this song, I think it would be helpful to know what the song is about. This song was made in World War II in the 1940s, and the message, or the idea of the song, is a soldier who's far away from home, overseas, who misses his family very much. So we'd like to dedicate these songs to the veterans who can't be with their families, sadly. Round of applause for our veterans.
I would now like to introduce Captain Nick Lamb. Officer Lamb served in the Massachusetts Army National Guard for 9 years as a military police officer.
Distinguished guests, staff, administration, and students, good morning. And thank you for another year to speak with you all today. Of those who do not know me, my name is Nick Lamb, and I'm a 9-year veteran currently serving in the Army National Guard as a military police officer. I hold the rank of captain and serve the position as the headquarters detachment commander for the 211th Military Police Battalion. In addition to my military duties, I'm also a member of the Palmer Police Department, serving as a full-time patrolman, and also a Palmer High School alumni, class of 2012. Veterans Day is a very special holiday to me, not only to honor the veterans that have or are currently serving our great nation, but to honor my father and grandfather who served in the military as well. In honoring their service and commitment, my call of duty began in January of 2013, when I enlisted in the Army National Guard, where I attended basic training at Fort Benning, Georgia. As my military career progressed, I traveled to the areas of Eastern Europe, where I trained with the Romanian forces, explored the Transylvania Valley, and trained at the National Training Center in the Mojave Desert, where cell service is limited or non-existent. I've also been activated for a number of civil unrest missions in Boston, Mass., serving alongside state and local authorities, and traveled to Washington, D.C. in response to defending our nation's capital against all enemies, foreign and domestic. As a former alumni and soldier, I've learned many valuable lessons in the importance of integrity, personal courage, and respect that are applied in my military and civilian career as a police officer each and every day. Now, whichever path you may choose, remember adversities may come and pass, but continue to be resilient and do what is morally right, even if it's not popular among the group. Remember as well, treat people as you would like them to treat you. This allows us to appreciate the best in other people and form those meaningful relationships. As I have personally experienced overseas, learning about different cultures and creeds, and continue to exercise as a police officer. Again, thank you for the opportunity to speak in front of you, each and every one of you today, and share my experiences and pride serving as a patriot of this great nation. I'm honored to be a member of the Palmer Police Department, fulfilling my civic duty as a guardian to our great community as well. I'm proud to see the Veterans Day ceremony continue each year and look forward to being a participant for the following years. If you ever have a question or curious about joining the military or becoming a police officer, please not hesitate to reach out. Again, thank you all, and God bless America.
I would now like to introduce Mr. Beaudry and the grades 9 through 12th Palmer High School Band for the playing of God Bless America.
will now introduce our veterans by rank. Nick Lamb, Captain Army National Guard. Christy Kupiak Fox, SFC Army. Brett Toney, Master Sergeant. Wayne Smith, Staff Sergeant. John Corcoran, Spec 5. Billy Burns, Spec 5. Mark Cashy, HM2FMF. Sally Ney, Specialist 5 Army. Dan Chica, Sergeant. Bill Griswold, E4. John Silva, E3, U.S. Marine Corps. Steve Hershowitz, E3. If there are any veterans in our staff, please stand now.
Please stand here for the town manager, also a veteran, who's not on the list.
I would now like to introduce Mr. Beaudry and the PHS Band for their TAPS performance.
We have one more.
I would also like to recognize Richard Smola, RM2 Navy.
I would now like to introduce Ms. North for closing remarks and words of appreciation.
Thank you everyone for being here and sharing this extremely inspirational morning with us. Today's Veterans Day ceremony was motivating and encourages us to be better Americans. Thank you again to all the veterans for your service and dedication to our country. We are lucky for your sacrifice that enabled us our freedom. If everyone could please stand for the ceremonial salute to veterans with a performance of Salute to Freedom, performance by Mr. Modry and the Palmer High School Band.